Hello everyone. My name is Hunter, and this is a review of Ted Lasso Season 3, Episode 2. Now, I really like this episode. I thought it was better than last week's episode, and I thought last week's episode was pretty good. And so the episode starts off with Keely at her job. Now, I will say that this was probably the weakest point of the episode is Keely's new job. I think it's just because Keely is a great character and she's great as a standalone character too, but I think she is better with the Ted Lasso characters. And these people at her job, they are boring, which is part of the story. They are boring people. And I don't find really any of them interesting until the very end when she talks to her, I think it's her financial advisor. And her financial advisor is being very rude to the person that Keely had just hired because she was frankly, she was unfit for the job on paper, at least. And so Keely's financial, I don't remember what a job title was, but anyways, her like financial advisor, assistant person, she was rude to Keely and she was rude to her new employee. And so Keely decided to tell her off, saying that she can't treat her employees that way. And I thought that was the only really interesting part of Keely's entire storyline in this episode. But that was like barely any of the episode. It's just whenever we went back to Keely's story, I was like, okay, I kind of want to get back to any other story in the episode. But besides that, that was really my only gripe with this episode. But we get back to Ted Lasso and everyone at Richmond, and Trent Krim has come back, and I love Trent Krim. He's he's such an amazing character to watch interact with all these different kind of personalities, like especially Ted Lasso. Um, and so Trent Krim wants to write a book about Richmond, and everyone does not want him to, but Ted Lasso, uh, he's too he's too nice of a person to say no to Trent. And so now Trent is able to write a book, and Roy hates it. It's hilarious how much Roy hates it. He tells everyone that nobody speaks in front of Trent. Um, and yeah, every single time Trent walks into a room, nobody speaks. There was this one scene where Trent's on the phone with his publisher, and Roy is just like popping balloons in the background so that so it makes a loud sound, and so it disturbs Trent as he's talking to his publisher, and so Trent has to leave the room at the very end of the episode. And I this is what I love about Ted Lasso. It's these confrontations with characters who think differently. Trent thinks differently and Roy thinks differently, and Ted Lasso forces them to talk it out. And so Roy, he pulls out a little slip of paper from his wallet that says, well, what's written on it is an excerpt of one of Trent's writings back a few years ago, and it was saying how disappointing Roy's performance was in a previous game, and like it hit Roy hard, and so that's why he hated Trent. And so yeah, that confrontation between Trent and Roy, I thought was really interesting to watch. And so we keep going through the episode. I got the episode pulled up on here on my computer. Okay, there's this one thing that annoys the heck out of me with this show, and it's that Ted Lasso will not learn how football works. It's very frustrating, I think, because now this is their third season, and he still doesn't know how football works. He's still asking questions to Coach Beard about what certain vocabulary means. And I find it so frustrating sometimes. Like, why doesn't the coach of this team know this is why you weren't doing so well? Um, like there's this earlier scene in the episode where he's reading a book about football, and he says that he's so bored with it, but like you have to learn this stuff. Like you're the coach of a football team. So, anyways, the biggest storyline of this episode is the probability of a football team getting this really good player named Zava, and he's a little bit egotistical. But everyone wants this player, especially Rupert, which makes Rebecca want him more. So this is what this entire episode is about. It's between West Ham and Richmond and who gets Zava here. And so Rupert is, of course, sweet talking Zava, as he is shown to do plenty of times. And so Rebecca gets a little mad because Rupert was rubbing it in her face that he was going to get Zava. Like, it was pretty apparent that that was what was going to happen. So Rebecca went and told off Zava. Uh, Told him off. She went into the bathroom while he was peeing, and he, for some reason, that guy can pee for a long time. He must have held it for a long time because she was yelling at him for a while, and he was still going. And then at the end of the episode, as they're doing their, as Zava is at like a press panel here, he's going to announce that he was supposed to announce that he was going to join a different team called Chelsea, I think it was. Um, Rupert thought he was going to change at the last moment to West Ham, but in fact, he decided to change it to Richmond, which made me very happy because honestly, some it does feel a bit cliche, but sometimes you just need a bit of cliche in these shows. Sometimes the twist is more cliche than the cliche. You know what I mean? So now Richmond has Zava, and I'm very interested in seeing Ted Lasso and Zava clash because they are two completely different characters. Um, I also want to say Danny was very funny in this episode. Like, his obsession with Zava and having Zava notice him was hilarious. But that is about it. I think this is a very strong episode. I really liked it. And if I had to give it a score, which I am, I'm going to give it, I'm going to give it an 80. I'm going to give it an 80% here because I think it was a very strong episode. So I do thank you for watching. And if you like this review, then please subscribe. It would help me out a lot. And without further ado, goodbye.